Hello everyone, in this video I want to talk to you about this GPU, a very weird model. It is a workstation GPU that was born with 12 GB of VRAM. It only has one video connector. I have this system with a dual monitor hooked up. Both the motherboard, HDMI, and the GPU mini display part are working. So as you can see, it's recognized as S9100. And on the left you can see the actual card that is supposed to be, and on the right you can see my card. And as you can see, my shader count is a little bit off, and that is because this card was actually an S9100, which I BIOS modded, and the BIOS modding actually revealed the full memory, because AMD didn't bother making two different PCB revision. They just cut down the die, but they left the memory there, and as long as your memory controller is intact, which I think should always be the case, the wires are all there, and I have the full 60 gigabyte memory available for any game and stuff that I want to play with, which is going to be AI on this machine. So we'll see. Now, before moving my system to macOS, I did all the BIOS modding on Windows, because I have a lot more applications that I can test on Windows. And here are some tips that are very interesting to me. The first important thing is that I can use the fan header on the card, but the fan profile doesn't work. Okay, so this whole table doesn't do anything, but what I found out to be working is that if I set the max Asic temp on the PowerPlay table, this gives me the temperature where the fan will start at full speed. So this is not a very elegant solution, because what I get here is the fans are either going full or nothing, but that is what I get, and it's much better than using other systems to control the voltages. Now I will play a little bit of Battlefield 2042 to show off the performance of the machine and the fact that it actually doesn't throttle, because I thought that setting this Asic temperature limited would throttle the GPU, but it actually doesn't. So the machine will keep the clocks at the maximum rated if the power allows, and just keep the fan at 100%, and that is perfectly fine. Also, the fan that I put on were from RX 580, and they're not super loud. So frame rate is about 60 FPS on the GPU, which is fine. I'm running at slightly higher than Full HD because it's 1610, and as you can see on the right, we are at full GPU clock, 987 megahertz, and the fans are kicked at maximum speed, and it's 67 degrees because the limited side is 69. And Battlefield is a very intensive game for GPU load, so it's a very good way to stress the core. And I also tried, of course, all the other benchmarks and Onigine and Firestrike. The performance is very similar to a 480. It is slightly more power. Of course, the system is, like, the GPU is very undervolted with the BIOS, so I set a manual voltage and frequency curve. And yeah, it works great. I love it. Of course, I'm using the Nimitz drivers, so they're from the end of 2023. Sadly, they didn't make any more modded drivers for GCN 3.0. This is 2.0 anyway, but yeah. And yeah, the GPU is great. A really great GPU. I bought it from W Store. Well, actually, Miyconst bought it from Miyconst Hardware, bought it from wstore.sk, and then sent it to me because they had no use for the card. And then OeCrE, my BIOS modder friend, made the BIOS modder BIOS for me. The system is a heavily tuned i7 6700K. Of course, the memory frequency is modded. Everything is tuned to the lowest possible timings, and voltages, of course, are optimized. Here you can see the offset on the core, VCCIO, system agent, and the machine will end up being used with macOS, of course, as a Hackintosh. And I will show you how I got the card to work. It is very similar to getting R9 290 to a 290X mod. there we go. So as you can see, I have both cards available for metal rendering. I have full video acceleration supported. The GPU is correctly recognized. Fun enough, Windows doesn't see the real name while macOS does, so it can actually tell that it's a W9100, and the full 16 gigs are reported. For some reason it reports as X8 for PCIe. I have no idea why that is, and it does the same on Windows, so that's it. As you can see, the screen that is attached to it, which is the small one on the left, while the HD graphics sees the screen, the monitor on the right, and everything works fine. The fans are not currently spinning. I don't know whether it's because the load is not hard enough or else, really. I hope they do work. Yeah, here you go, they get done. And the back of the card is not super hot, so they're definitely, the card is definitely not at 99 degrees. As previously, the fans were kicking at 98 degrees, and this would make like the back of the card impossible to touch, while now it is possible to touch it, so definitely working fine. The fans are here spinning, and yeah, everything is really great. Let's see. So I tried to get the card working with the SSDT, but that didn't work. The one available on Dortania is actually pre-configured for this GPU exactly, because that is like the most common use case. So turn our R9 290 to an R9 290X as a spoof, but it didn't work. So I did this, and so sorry, this is for the iGPU. So we have to actually declare the HDMI port to get it working. But yeah, this is the interesting part. So this is how I got the GPU to work in the system. Oh, that's also how it recognized by macOS as the proper card, because OpenCore configurator, like the PCI name was still the same, and that's how I got it. And yeah, this is how it worked. I don't know if this one are actually needed, but I put them, and I got the video output. So yeah, that was very interesting, very fun to make. It's one of this situation where you have to research stuff, but things that you research and end up doing do work, and that is the best feeling, you know, when you actually accomplish something. What else? Yeah, here's the standard OpenCore settings. Like the EFI is based on the Dortania guide, nothing special here. These are the standard ACPIs for Skylake on Z170. I didn't test the Thunderbolt port. The user will not use, like this machine will not be used with the Thunderbolt port, so I don't care about them. The user needed only 2 display outs, so here they come, from the one from the GPU dedicated and one from the internal graphics on the HDMI. And yeah, this machine is a great success. I will probably have to test it with some kind of AI workload, but I have no idea about this, and the user will do that. But I don't think that the undervolting and all the core clock settings on the card will have errors, because I tested it extensively with different benchmarks, and I also played about 2 hours of Battlefield, which is very, very hard on the GPU. And ciao a tutti!